Grill Sergeant here, and today we're cooking up meth. I'm only kidding. Today we're gonna brew a 5-gallon batch of beer. We're making an IPA from the tree. I got some tangelos up in there. It's a hybrid fruit, and we're gonna add it in here. It's gonna be so good. So we're making a 5-gallon batch. I'm gonna be pouring in 3 gallons now, and then we'll basically fill it up at the end. So what it's gonna be doing is, it's gonna be about 220 degrees, and then right when we turn off the burners, we're gonna try to get the water to drop as fast as it can drop. So we're basically going to use water that we haven't put in yet to basically cool the wort down. So now the part is when we introduce flame. I'm gonna hold my lighter down here. Now we're gonna do this, we're going to use this to dial in our flame. So now it's gonna take, I don't know, maybe about 30 minutes, hopefully not too long, to basically have this thing get up to a roaring boil. Goes up. All right, we got our hops here. This is what makes an IPA an IPA, and it's a buttload of hops. And you're not even seeing actually all the hops here, because after it's already in the fermenter, we're gonna add in about 2 weeks later even more hops, which is called dry hopping. So we got Centennial, we got Cascade, and one of my favorite hops, which is Citra. And ooh, man, oh man, it is good. So we got that. We also have the liquid malt extract, and we have some dry malt extract, and this is basically going to add our sugars to the wort. All right, so now what we're gonna do, our little sack here, put this inside. So this is basically our water. This water right now is about 160 degrees right now, and we're basically gonna go 1, 2, and 3. Now it's fully steeped. I'm only kidding. We're gonna leave it in there for a little bit, and we're just gonna set that in there, let that soak in all that wheat goodness, which is basically gonna extract the sugars from that, and then we're gonna dump this entire mixture in to our kettle. So now let's see what we see. Oh my gosh, it's a miracle. Listen to that sound. Woo! Sounds like the Titanic. Something's going down. Now normally a chef wouldn't give away his secret recipes, but Grill Sergeant knows you guys, loves you guys. I'm going to let you in on my secret recipe. So in here we basically have my IPA, and we're basically starting with what we put in there, the grains. That was called Caramel 40. That was about 3/4 a pound. For extracts, we're using 6-pound gold malt syrup, 1 pound of dry malt extract. For hops, we're using Centennial, Cascade, Citra. For dry hopping, we're using Citra and Cascade. And for yeast, we're going to use 2 packets of Yeast 1272. Which, that reminds me, I actually need to pop those packets right now. Let's do it. Inside you basically find this packet, which I found it right here, and smack the pack and give it a good shake. And so over the process of about 2 hours or so, this is basically going to start swelling up. So we got one. Now normally one would do the trick, but we want to make sure our IPA is pretty nice and strong. So I'm going to find the next pack. We're going to smack it and then shake it up and then let it do its thing. Let's go outside and drink some beer. Let's do it. So this is basically dry malt extract, and this is a liquid extract, and basically this is sugar that we're gonna start incorporating. So we're just gonna start. And now what's funny is right when we add in this is gonna really start smelling like a brewery. Now look at this. Look at that. This is basically like honey. So now we're gonna start putting this in.
And that's a concentrated version of what we just put in here.
Yeah, so basically when people do brew like the long way, is all this is basically getting extracted from all the grain, but they're using like 16 to 20 pounds of grain, whereas we're pretty much cutting that part out. tea bag here, and I'm just going to put it right on top of here. So now, ready? Let's do it, baby. Now, so that starts the 60. You already started, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now you can basically just chill with it, and that will help us keep time. All right, you got to do the feel.
It's all about the feel.
It's all about the feel, and I do color too. Like you want that orange there. That, ooh, smell that. That juice, man. That juice. What is juice?
You gotta get that low hanging fruit.
Give me that purple drink. Alright, here is the last of the hops. We just turned off the flame, and here is Citra, 2 ounces. Alright, so we're at flame out, and we're just adding tons of hop flavor in there. Alright, beautiful. Just squeeze the goodness out. There you go. We're gonna crank this open, and then here we go. 3, 2, 1, and let her rip. I'll carry inside the lift, and we'll carry it into the garage. So now we're pretty much ready to pitch some yeast. Okay, here we go. So one of these packages contains 100 billion yeast cells, which is about the amount of debt that this country Stay serious on that one. So now what we're going to do is put it in our refrigerator here. We basically have our set temp of 65 with a range of about 5 degrees up or down. So then after 2 weeks, we're basically going to add in another 2 ounces of Citra and Cascade into there. And then about another week to 2 weeks, we'll basically put it in a keg. And then about a week in the keg, then we'll be back and pour in our first beer. So stay tuned. If you made it through this far in the video, you're still alive. That's a good thing, right? All right, so today is the day we're going to bottle and keg our IPA. All right, so to cover bottling, some things that you'll need, basically a cap. This seals the cap to the bottle. And then you also have priming sugar. Usually for the bigger beer bottles, you'll use about 2 of these. For the smaller beer bottles, you'll use 1. Okay, so we're going to do the bottles first. This part does sometimes get a little messy. So what I do is basically just have a towel underneath. What we'll do is I will add in the 2 sugars. I'm gonna put this in, and you got to kind of, as you're opening, you have to kind of just watch. Usually right about there. Then you put your cap on. Put it down like this. And we got 1. Beautiful. So now for the easy part. Now I had already filled this keg in with CO2, and what that's basically doing is getting all that air out. So now I'm gonna basically release most of the CO2 out, lift this up, then we're going to place this. You want this pretty much towards the bottom, and then just open her up and fill it in. So I'm just going to cut it off here. We're going to take this off, and we're going to place it back in here. Seal her up like that. So we're going to plug this into the in. Turn that on, and then so now we're getting out any excess air that could have gotten in the egg when we open it up. So basically this is purging it. And now what I'm gonna do is basically leave it connected to the CO2 spigot. I'm gonna put this in right now. So now that's attached. Usually for about a keg, you'll let it sit for about a week just to basically carb up. And then yeah, in about a week, I'll be pour my first glass and we'll tune back in for that tasting. Grill Sergeant here, and today is a happy day. When you homebrew, the best day is the first day your beer is ready to try. So our IPA is finally ready. And with the power of crappy editing, let's fill this glass. Bam! And here it is. Oh man, the smell on this is amazing. Thank you, kind tree, for lending me your fruit. Cheers, guys. Ooh, a very crisp IPA, very sweet too. Usually IPAs, when people think of IPAs, they're very bitter. This is very, very sweet. Well guys, cheers. I have about 5 more gallons of this. That should last me a few live streams, so I would deem this as a total success. Thanks for watching out. Yeah, let me know if you take a stab at homebrewing, but this was definitely fun. All right guys, cheers, and I'll see you at the next video. To those out there that are still alive, awesome for sticking with us. For those of us still alive, thanks for sticking with us. If you made it through this far in the video, you're still alive. That's a good thing, right? Right? Oh my God.